It took Sydney 6 attempts to get the better of the Gold Coast. Can they make it 2 on the trot? Miron's men found their feet last outing, while again the Sky Blues left it very, very late. Today both sides look to build on their mid-table position with 4th spot up for grabs. It's Sydney and the Gold Coast, and it's live on Fox Sports. Yes, two teams who are proving hard to beat, even if the winds aren't flowing quite as freely as Vitezslav, Lavicka and Miron Bleiberg would like. Goals are the issue for both, not enough for Sydney, who've currently hit the target only 3 times, the lowest in the competition, and the concession of too many for the Gold Coast. Both clubs, though, were in the top 6 at the start of the weekend. Only one will be come the weekend's end. Let's have a look at the two teams, starting with Sydney FC, who make one change. Terry Antonis is away on international duty, so Hiro Moriyasu makes his first appearance of the season in midfield. Terry McFlynn has recovered from a hip injury sustained against Melbourne Heart. He plays, and Michael BEAUCHAMP makes his 50th Hyundai A-League appearance. His partnership with Pascal BOSSCHAART is perhaps starting to blossom. Now Gold Coast United are unchanged. James Brown, the man in form, with 3 goals already this season. The Dutch trio BEEKMANS, JUNGSCHLAGER and RIGTERS are all included. And it's a return to New South Wales for Michael THWAITE, who was once a student at Sydney University, and Dylan MACALLISTER, who won an NSL title in this city with Sydney Olympic. Well, it's a mid-table battle on paper. But the aspirations of the Sydney FC supporters, rather more accustomed to success, of course, are high this season. Certainly after the miserable campaign they endured last year. And they've made a solid, probably, rather than a spectacular start to the campaign. Just 1 defeat, just the 1 victory, a couple of draws as well. And a real get-out-of-jail card given to them by Nick CARLE in injury time against Melbourne Hearts last weekend. Gold Coast have been tricky customers for them in the past. Just the 1 victory in 6 meetings against the team from southeast Queensland. And that did come in the last meeting between the two sides here at the SFS. And of course, Sydney FC beaten in their only other game at this venue, this season at least, against Brisbane Roar, the champions, who made off with a 2-0 victory. So Miron Bleiberg's men, no doubt, looking to make it a Queensland double. So here they come, the final game of the round, which has really been a stormer, producing 11 goals, 2 red cards, 1 unbelievable half of football in Melbourne yesterday, and all watched by over 50,000 fans in the stadium, and many more, no doubt, on Fox Sports. What will today bring? We'll find out in a few moments' time. Well, it was a beautiful day in the harbour city this morning. Warm with barely a cloud in the sky, but it is rather grey this afternoon, but still pretty muggy. 26 degrees the current temperature and 59% humidity. Just a slight east-northeasterly breeze. There is Vitezslav Lavicka. He's talking to Mike Mulvey, the Gold Coast assistant coach. His Sydney team has now lost just 1 of their last 12 A-League matches. That was, of course, that 2-0 home loss to Brisbane Roar last time out here at the SFS. As for Miron Bleiberg, well, the master of the mind games had some rather interesting things to say again in the build-up to today, insisting that his side hadn't paid any special attention to Brett EMERTON and that the pressure was all on Sydney, given the city's population of 4 million, as opposed to the rather smaller Gold Coast. Our referee today is Peter Green, his 82nd A-League appointments. He's assisted by Alex Glasgow and Lance Greenshields. 2 men in form, and the two teams on show today. Nick CARLE, 2 goals already, lighter, fitter, and definitely better this season. And James Brown, not only 3 goals, but also the NAB Young Player of the Month for October. So away we go, a state of origin clash of sorts, but this rivalry probably rather tame in comparison, and it has been rather one-sided in the past. What chance do you give Gold Coast of continuing their good form against Sydney FC today, Mark Rudin?
Well, look, you've got to give them as much chance as Sydney of winning the game. They are the home side, Sydney FC, but both teams on 5 points, as you mentioned, and should be an intriguing encounter. Both teams will try to suss each other out in the opening 15 to 20 minutes. Two teams, especially the Gold Coast, coming off a good win last week. Sydney FC, it would have felt like a win for them last week against the Heart, scoring late in injury time as well. So all goes for a pretty good game.
So it's James Brown, and the throw-in will go Sydney FC's way. Just a word on the pitch routes. You've had a walk on it. It's been relayed. It looks a little patchy in places, and I know Vitezslav Lavicka wasn't 100% happy with it. What do you make of it?
Oh, I totally agree with Lavicka. I did have a chance to walk across the pitch for the first half an hour, and I can tell you that I did almost turn an ankle when I was walking, even though I was only just walking. It's pretty poor. There's a lot of patches there. There's a lot of bad areas along the pitch as well. A lot of yellow turf too.
Well, we'll see how it plays. Same for both teams, of course. And this is Brett EMERTON, who's managed to control the ball okay, trying to weave his way through the Gold Coast defence. Eventually, Michael THWAITE says enough of that. This is Maceo RIGTERS, who hugely impressed last week until he rather tired and was eventually substituted. But he's got pace, he's got power, and boy, he's got a shot on him, Roots.
Oh, absolutely. He was absolutely fantastic last week. Scored a fantastic goal as well. A lot of pace about him. He's very direct too, and look, he's not even fit, as you mentioned. I'd like to see him in a couple of weeks' time when he gets his full fitness back, and he's going to be a real threat today.
There he is, Maceo RIGTERS. Long career in his native Netherlands, and briefly, of course, in England as well, with Blackburn and Barnsley. There he is on the ball, trying to get around Michael BEAUCHAMP. That's good work by the Sydney FC central defender. You'll appreciate that, Mark, being a former Sydney FC defender yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always important to get yourself into the game as well as you can, and Michael BEAUCHAMP has already done that. He's made one good clearance, and again he's run down RIGTERS. It's not an easy foot race either to beat RIGTERS in. He's started on the left-hand side as well. He's had to come across there, but you need to get yourself in there nice and early. You've got to get your tackles in as well, so he started off positively.
Get your thoughts on that partnership with Pascal BOSSCHAART in a moment as well. Let's just see what develops here. Adama TRAORE with the cheeky back heel, and then subsequently Terry McFlynn, not executed quite as expertly. EMERTON unable to dig it out. ROBSON, real clash of bodies with Jamie COYNE, and James Brown has nipped in behind Terry McFlynn. Chance for the Gold Coast. BOSSCHAART is there, cool and steady.
It's fantastic work by BOSSCHAART as well. Cool under pressure, knew it was around him as well. He's just a really cool player. Good to be playing alongside Michael BEAUCHAMP as well. He's got a lot of experience himself, but I think with someone like Pascal, who's, you can see, is just commanding, he's talking all the time as well, making sure that the players in front of him are doing their job. He's got a really cool head. He's able to play the ball out from defence too. Really good combination between the pair. Probably lacking a little bit of pace, but what they certainly make up for it in terms of their experience.
BOSSCHAART is in the top 10 for interception statistics this season, 71 before this game, which shows, just underlines Mark's point about how well he reads the game. Talking of which, BEEKMANS, who looks a very useful acquisition for the Gold Coast in midfield, finding TRAORE. Now it's with ROBSON. Touched by MACALLISTER. BOSSCHAART looking for Carl. Instead it's with Paul BEEKMANS. Left a little short for Dylan MACALLISTER, and there was a handball there from Terry McFlynn, which gives Gold Coast the free kick.
You see BEEKMANS there getting involved in the play nice and early. Terry McFlynn probably should have stayed on his feet if he could, making sure he didn't lose the ball and making sure the ball wasn't played forward by Gold Coast, giving away a free kick.
Which James Brown is about to deliver. Well, I think Paul BEEKMANS was the target, but no chance of getting on the end of that one. And he has been in great form this season, James Brown, Mark. not just his goals, but his all-round play, rewarded with that Player of the Month award, Young Player of the Month award, I should say.
And those dark glasses he wears as well. He certainly looks the part anyway, but no, he's been sensational this year. A few goals to his name already, 6 goals he's now scored for the Gold Coast United club. Looks a real find as well. He wasn't supposed to play, he wasn't supposed to start. It was an injury to Joel Porter, and that's football for you as well. That's sometimes, or most of the times, you get your chance, and he's really taken it with both arms, and it's now up to him to make sure he retains his position and keeps that work up, because it's all about consistency now for him.
Well, he's been penalised there for a nudge in the back. Maybe he needs those glasses on the park. Those glasses are very popular at the moment. You're sporting a pair yourself, Roots.
No, I'm not, Simon. I am wearing a pair of glasses, but nothing like the ones he wears.
Foul on Robson. Combination of McFlynn and Karol KISEL. Dylan McGowan into the channel. Too heavy for Brown. Goal kick. Well, not quite as busy a start as we had in Melbourne last night.
What a game that was. Envious that you were absolutely right in the thick of things as well yourself and Robbie Slater. It was great watching, great viewing those first 45 minutes. But so far in this game, it's been all Gold Coast, really. Sydney haven't been able to keep possession of the ball, and it's usually the case in those opening 10 to 15 minutes as well. Both teams just trying each other out. But Gold Coast have started the better.
And to touch off Michael BEAUCHAMP.
Yeah, look, he's come back, and it hasn't been an easy start. A couple of weeks ago against Adelaide, he knew he could have done better and should have done better with that that pass that he played back to Ivan NECEVSKI at the time. But look, he's an experienced player. He's played in the World Cup, and he's played 90 minutes, as we all remember, against Serbia when the Australians won 2-1, and a lot of experience. Things probably didn't go his way at the Heart last year, and he worked ever so hard as well. Spoke to a couple of people involved in at the Heart, and it certainly wasn't anything to do with his attitude on or off the park. It's just one of those decisions that sometimes goes against you.
Now here's Nick CARLE, who's managed to wriggle clear of the defender. Disappointing end to what was initially a promising move.
You can see that left-hand side for Sydney. A lot of work Nicky CARLE does put in. Makes a lot of runs down that side as well. On that occasion, got it all wrong.
Gold Coast playing out from the back. Moss to JUNGSCHLAGER, and now they'll try and hit Dylan MACALLISTER, who was offside in any case. Peter Green happy to let play continue. Brett EMERTON, who's been outrun there by ROBSON, and now Adama TRAORE takes over. Touch to the outside of the boot for MACALLISTER. Tidied up by Jamie COYNE. It has been a pretty slow start for Sydney FC. Gold Coast have really imposed their game on the home side.
Well, they certainly have. They are the better of the two at the moment in the opening 10 minutes or so, but it is quite humid as well. It's been quite a hot, humid day. You can see by the possession stats, 62% to Sydney's 38 as well. Nothing's changed there. Played extremely well against Newcastle last week as well. Key to that was their possession, being able to retain the ball.
Now here's James Brown, and they've got a man over on the right. It was a bit far for Dylan McGowan. Back for JUNGSCHLAGER. Now with Michael THWAITE, the Gold Coast captain. Touch off James Brown, just caught Richters on his heels. Now KISEL. Well, not quite sure whether the intention was to link up with Bridge or EMERTON, but managed to bisect the two in any case. Nicky CARLE. Scott JAMIESON had joined in with that attack. Throw in for the Gold Coast. 10 minutes played, no real chances for either side. Gold Coast slightly on top, you'd probably say. This is Jamie COYNE for Sydney FC. Straight at BEEKMANS. TRAORE, good touch from RIGTERS. ROBSON making good ground. JUNGSCHLAGER. McGowan. Looks for the run of James Brown. Intelligent ball again by Brown. It's once or twice he's tried that little back heel to release a teammate. Jamieson, terrier-like in his challenge and determination to hang onto the ball, which is very much part of his character as a footballer. Carl rolls off the shoulder of Kristian REES. Bridge. Carl onside, can he keep it in play? It's a good ball by Nick CARLE, and Karol KISEL just lurking, waiting for the opportunity on the edge of the 6-yard box. Gold Coast clear their lines, and it's a good turn by RIGTERS. And again, well read by BOSSCHAART. He is the master of the interception, isn't he, Pascal BOSSCHAART?
He reads the game ever so well. It's a good chance though by Sydney. A minute earlier, a lot of their attacking forays have come down that left-hand side. Nicky CARLE, Mark Bridge on that occasion. Played the combination play with Nicky CARLE. Karol KISEL was in the box as well. Again, that's what he's there for. He's playing as number 10 today. Top of that midfield diamond. He'll be looking to get on the end of a lot of crosses.
Emerton. Bit of space for KISEL here. Quickly closed down though by Michael THWAITE. Good defending. Sydney a bit narrow here. KISEL has to go centrally. It was a sturdy challenge from Kristian REES, but referee says play on. Emerton feeding Jamie COYNE. Now Bridge. Emerton's made a good run, but they couldn't pick him out. BEAUCHAMP. COYNE. Now Emerton. Look to hit it early and gets the corner off Kristian REES.
Yeah, probably should have just had a quick look up as well. There weren't too many runners making their way into the box. We're on the edge of the 18-yard as well. Again, you see here before, enough bodies in the box for Gold Coast to clear that ball away. But Karol KISEL making a nuisance of himself, trying to get in those areas.
Emerton's delivery. BOSSCHAART returning it towards the danger zone, and that was a very brave header by Hiro MORIYASU, and he gets the free kick for the high foot. Not much doubt about that one. Almost poleaxed Hiro MORIYASU.
Eyes on the ball, that's the key. JUNGSCHLAGER it was as well. And you can't really blame him either. His eyes were on the ball, he was going for it, although it was MORIYASU, the braver of the two, throwing his head in there. It's giving away a free kick in a dangerous area as well now.
It is a very good position this for Sydney FC. Now will it be Karol KISEL maybe, or perhaps Brett Emerton? Nicky CARLE's there as well. Scott JAMIESON makes it 4. Teed up for Nicky CARLE, who drives it, and well, unlike in the Melbourne Victory Brisbane Roar game yesterday, the wall didn't jump, it stood firm.
The Gold Coast wall must have been watching last night. I'm sure Glen Moss would have told his wall as well to make sure they don't jump either.
Bridge bridge leaping, but beaten to it by Adama TRAORE. The home side just starting to find a bit of rhythm after a slow beginning. Emerton with the floater. There's Karol KISEL, and forcing the first real save out of either goalkeeper. Glen MOSS putting it behind with his feet.
That's why he's got the nod to play on the top of the diamond roll there. Number 10 roll, so to speak. It's again Karol KISEL making the run down the far post. It's a good save as well with his legs. Glen MOSS coming across from the near post. That occasion was Brett Emerton who was able to swing that ball over. They've got to make sure that Karol KISEL was tightly marked.
So Emerton to deliver again. Up went BEAUCHAMP. Good clearance on the volley by KISEL back in. And hammered away to safety by Dylan MACALLISTER for the Gold Coast. This time they go long looking for bridge, and Moss smartly out to the edge of his box. Beekmans with a little threaded ball through, and then JUNGSCHLAGER. That's a super ball. Here's Dylan MACALLISTER. Did he foul the defender? He did. Well, what about the pass? Opened up the Sydney FC defence completely. Well done, Jamie COYNE, for the home side.
That was good defending in the end, but what's a ball by JUNGSCHLAGER. A fantastic pedigree, great CV as well. A little bit unlucky as well, MACALLISTER. Did push him out of the way. Jamie COYNE fell down quite easily as well. But they're the balls that Miron Bleiberg wants from his midfielder, JUNGSCHLAGER. That's why he's in the team. Again, it's those running off the ball that make it happen. Players like RIGTERS and MACALLISTER and James Brown. There's quite a few there able to make runs in behind defences.
Now Emerton on the charge, but he won't get there ahead of Glen MOSS. Just something that we touched on in the pre-game show, Mark, about the Gold Coast. Of course, a lot of talk about them going for this youth policy this year, but really, out of the starting 11 today, only James Brown could be classified as a youth product in the starting 11 at least. There's a couple more on the bench, of course.
No, you're right.
So there's a bit more experience than
absolutely
perhaps we first thought.
Well, in the pre-season, Miron was quite vocal in saying that they have lost a lot of players. A large number have left the club. And he was going to rely on the youth, considering they were the winners of the Youth League competition. And unfortunately, things have changed. Miron must have changed his mind. And Clive Palmer may have changed his mind as well and said, well, you're best off having a few more experienced players. We want to be competitive in this league. And they've always been competitive. And they will be again this year. But it does help to have a few more experienced heads in your team. And again, it does go against what he did say earlier in the season.
Of course, he is without Josh Brillante today, who, like Terry Antonis, is away on international duty. JUNGSCHLAGER, deliverer of that fabulous ball through some moments ago. Slice off the boot of Glen MOSS.
Credit there to Brett Emerton too. Around a good 40 metres to close that down. Just with the feeling now that Sydney have up the tempo a touch.
Beekmans, clever ball. And that's a late challenge by Pascal BOSSCHAART, and he's going to be the first player to go into the notebook of Peter Green. He was certainly high, and he was certainly late on James Brown.
But it was there. Could have no complaints with that. He threw his arms up and asked the question why. I'm sure good defenders do. And you can't complain with that yellow card. James Brown still on the floor there. He really is feeling it. Although it is quite humid out there as well. Maybe he's looking for a bit of a rest.
Beautiful pass from Beekmans in the first instance. It's like a little sandwich before you're trying to approach the green.
It's pretty easy to do out in that pitch as well.
feel it's more of a bunker shot on that pitch, do you?
I'll tell you what, there's a lot of sand underneath that greenery. It may look good from a distance, but it's not that good underfoot.
Cove, always vocal, always passionate. Here's the free kick. It's headed not too far over the top by Paul BEEKMANS, and it might have taken a touch too off a Sydney FC defender. Gold Coast will have a corner.
And BEEKMANS, that's why he's there. Apart from his distribution, his work rate off the ball, set pieces. A lot of big bodies in that team. Gold Coast, Rees, THWAITE, McAllister. They'll be looking to pinch one from the set piece, that's for sure today.
Must have come off Terry McFlynn. Flat delivery, and it's headed into the back of the net by Kristian REES, who celebrates a goal on his 100th A-League appearance. Gold Coast lead. And it's his second in a week, of course.
Well, well, well. Who would have thought Reesy, 2 in 2 weeks? Got one last week, a tap in this time, a powerful header as well. Driven in by ROBSON, and where was the marking by Sydney FC? Hands on hips. Everyone's looking around, but it was free as a bird. Jamie COYNE got in there a little bit too late. Liam REDDY had no chance with the header. Driven into the ground. 1-0 to the Gold Coast.
Well, he's having a little purple patch, isn't he, Kristian REES? The goal scorers list. Just his 7th in total in the A-League. Last weekend against the Jets was his first in nearly 2 years. So they're a bit like bosses for Kristian REES.
That's not a bad return, though. 7 goals in 100 games for a defender.
What was your return, Rude? You scored a few, though, didn't you?
Yeah, I did, but probably not as good as that anyway. Well, 2 in 2 usually happens with defenders. When you score one, you lift, your confidence lifts, and you just feel invincible every time that ball is thrown into the area for set pieces, and you think you can get on the end of one every week. And he has done 2 in a week in a row now for Reesy.
Well, I'm sure Vitezslav Lavicka won't be happy. Concession of a goal from a set piece, sloppy marking.
Oh, they're coach killers. Set pieces usually up on the wall in the dressing sheds. Everyone's got a job, whether they man mark or whether they mark space. But every player should know their role. They've come a long way in terms of doing your homework in the opposition. I'm sure they would have done their homework, Sydney FC. And the way Gold Coast set themselves up, there haven't been too many changes from last week's side in this Gold Coast lineup. So they'd know which player does what and where they make their runs, be it from a free kick or a corner. And that time they just got it all wrong, and Jamie COYNE, you dare say he was the man that was supposed to be marking Rees. It was just too late.
Well, it's the 4th time this season that Sydney FC have conceded the first goal of the game. However, if there is a positive for them, they of course came back to win against Adelaide and to draw against Melbourne Heart last week. So at least the side shows signs of resilience. Only time they didn't manage to come back, of course, was against Brisbane Roar. Very few teams do.
The other thing there is Liam REDDY now, it's his 24th game for the club. He's only kept 3 clean sheets out of those 24 games. He wouldn't be too happy as well. A lot of goalkeepers pride themselves on clean sheets, as do defenders.
Well, they've got to make sure they don't concede a second here, Sydney FC. Jamie COYNE desperately trying to prevent the corner, but he's unable to do so. They learned the lesson, Sydney FC. 4th corner of the game. Kristian REES, you'd imagine, would be pretty tightly marked from this corner. Deeper delivery, and Liam REDDY decides to take charge. Can't miss him in that kit.
No, you can't. He's not the only keeper though who's wearing fluorescent colours this year. Interesting to see when Liam REDDY did get a hold of that ball. Nick CARLE made a fantastic run, a good 50-metre run down that left-hand side or down Gold Coast right-hand side, looking for that quick delivery. It wasn't forthcoming. Nonetheless, you can see what Sydney were trying to do.
McAllister, Traore, Brown and Richters waiting for the cross that didn't arrive, and an infringement by Traore. There we go, last 5 minutes. The Gold Coast have started to turn the screw again after a brighter spell for Sydney FC. Thankfully, the rain that threatened a little bit earlier has kept away from the Moore Park area of Harbour City.
I think it's scared away a few of the fans as well. A cracking day here in Sydney, and the clouds started hovering around.
Now Nick CARLE, sorry Rhodes, hovering around the Gold Coast defence. He wanted it played back to him early from Mark Bridge, who's gone on his own instead. Still manages to get the crossover. Glen MOSS with an important contribution. Emerton can't get there on the follow-up. Now MORIYASU, and a bit more urgency from the team in sky blue. Jamieson headed clear by THWAITE. Mark Bridge perhaps just delayed too long. Nicky CARLE was open and in space. Really wanted it played first time.
I'll put that down to good defending as well. Nicky CARLE breaks away. See Glen MOSS on the ball. It was Nicky CARLE who started that play.
Now given away by Richters. Sloppy by the Gold Coast. MORIYASU. Oh, who wants it, he's saying. In fairness, he probably had 2 or 3 options, but didn't seem convinced by any of them. And instead, it's the Gold Coast with a promising looking attack here. James Brown herring down the right. McAllister checks and goes left instead. ROBSON will keep the attack moving for the Gold Coast. Hooked clear by McFlynn. CARLE and MORIYASU exchanging passes. JUNGSCHLAGER got in there and was appealing for the foul. Felt the foot was left in there by MORIYASU, but Peter Green unmoved. All of a sudden we got a bit of tempo about the game. This is Emerton to Jamieson. Bridge can't get there. James Brown can, and now JUNGSCHLAGER, who's been very impressive. Lovely touch by McAllister. Brown nips in ahead of Beauchamp. Peter Green thought about blowing for the foul and then thought better of it. What did you think, Mark?
Tough on Judge, a bit soft as well. James Brown went down quite easily.
There's Mark Bridge. Good cushioned ball for Nicky CARLE. Running at pace, Gold Coast dead tackle. Eventually they do wrestle him off the ball.
Yeah, Karol KISEL frees the bird into the 18 as well.
Bridge, Sydney getting joy down this side. Oh, that's a great save by Glen MOSS. Really flying through the air like a bird there. And Sydney FC are denied. JUNGSCHLAGER. Richters, heavy touch, but he'll get the free kick. Well, Mark Bridge with the opportunity, and Glen MOSS, well, that's a great save.
It certainly was a great save. Brett EMERTON, unfortunate not to get on the end of that as well. He was here to tackle Jamieson and Flynn on Richters. Wrong angle for the cross for Adama TRAORE.
Liam REDDY with the early release, and Mark Bridge could be through here one-on-one with Glen Moss. It's Bridge! And it's cleared off the line by Michael THWAITE. It was destined to be a goal all the way, other than for his intervention. Mark Bridge and Sydney FC denied right at the death by THWAITE.
Well done, THWAITE. Well done, Mark Bridge and Liam REDDY as well. It's a direct passage to goal on this occasion. Oh, it's fantastic work by the skipper, Michael THWAITE. Fully stretched as well. He needs a breather too, by the looks of things. But again, it was Liam REDDY's quick thinking. Mark Bridge, as soon as he got himself on the ball, Liam REDDY was just off like a lightning bolt. Got him behind the defence. Jeez.
That is so hard to do as well.
He's not happy. That man there, Lavicka. Can't believe how that ball didn't find the back of the net.
Well, that's what you call playing a captain's role.
As Bosser would say, it's a hello chicks moment as well.
I'm sure he will at half-time. But Sydney FC galvanised by that Kristian REES goal. Here's the corner from Emerton. Kisel, who can hit them. That'll be another corner for the Sky Blues. Well, they've been roused, haven't they, by the Gold Coast taking the lead. One wonders why it took them so long to get involved in the game. A really sluggish start by Sydney FC, but they're in it now, that's for sure. Jamieson with the outswinger. BOSSCHAART wins the aerial duel. Emerton hooks it back. Oh, what a save by Moss! A great double save by Glen Moss. Again, Mark Bridge is denied. And that double stop, a real thing of beauty. That was more Kate Moss than Glen Moss. Fantastic stuff by the Gold Coast custodian.
He certainly was. As you mentioned, not one but two saves then. Mark Bridge found himself free as a bird. Where was the marking by the Gold Coast defenders on that occasion? Two bites of the cherry. Pascal BOSSCHAART initially won the header. Brett EMERTON with the acrobats. Mark Bridge on the second occasion on his backside, trying to steer that ball into the back of the net. Glen Moss has kept his side well and truly in this game.
Well, Mark Bridge can't believe he hasn't scored. And goals have been as rare as hen's teeth for Bridge over the last 12 or so months. In fact, he's only scored once since scoring in the grand final against Melbourne Victory at the end of the season before last.
A big argument about Mark Bridge and what his actual position or his right position should be in the team. As we have a look at this replay again, that's wonderful work from Glen Moss. Whether he is an out-and-out striker or is someone that plays as a number 10 or in behind, someone that can produce goals or set up goals.
Here's Richters. Again, the touch just a tad too heavy, otherwise he'd have been through one-on-one with REDDY.
Who else but that man there, BOSSCHAART, in the thick of it. On one side of the pitch is trying to win the corner and set his team up with a goal. On the other side he's defending, giving away a corner, but he saved his team another goal, conceding another goal.
James Brown produce with this set piece. It's too far for REDDY. Kristian REES again wins another header. That one not on target though. He's a real menace at the set pieces though, isn't he, REES?
He certainly is. I remember in his days at Adelaide as well. He used to try and get a couple of players. One in the area that he's running into, another player running with him. Strong, solid boy.
Now given away very cheaply by Sydney FC. Here's James Brown and that man BOSSCHAART in again to save their bacon. Goodness me, what were they doing?
Well, they're at 6s and 7s, trying to play out from defence. You've got to be very careful as well. It's one thing playing out, but you've got to really have the options in front of you. You start playing those 50-50 balls or straight balls as well into the midfield. And we saw that on Friday night as well. When Adelaide played a straight ball to Jite, it was cut out by the central defender. He ran all of 40 metres to score a goal. Straight balls are a real killer sometimes. On that occasion, Oh, lucky they got away with it.
Try was touch and go to Brett Emerton. He did go, Brett Emerton, but Carl unable to continue the move. Maybe they will now. Jamie COYNE.
You go.
Beaching a difficult ball for COYNE, who complained that the challenge from Traore was from behind. Touched by BEEKMANS. McAllister.
It's unlucky.
Another intelligent through ball from this time James Brown, but they've got those sort of players that can unlock defences, Mark.
Absolutely. There's a fantastic passage of play there by Gold Coast. So JUNGSCHLAGER, BEEKMANS, who was in the thick of it as well. Very smart footballers too. They know where the space is and they just run off players and into space. And against the likes of Michael THWAITE and REES, who are able to provide the ball and get the ball into those midfield areas. They give and go as well. Just really good combination play on that occasion. Unfortunately, that ball was just overplayed.
Jamieson. Nick CARLE. MORIYASU. Well, again, a bit of a nothing ball from MORIYASU, really.
Well, in saying that, someone should have just made a run into the box. Just have a go, take a punt. All the players, Nick CARLE, Mark Bridge and Brett EMERTON, just hanging around that 18-yard block. So you just like to see one of those players just making a run into the near post. And you could get lucky. There was a deflection off one of the defenders as well. Would have fell right into the lap of one of the oncoming runners.
I'm sensing, as a former Sydney FC man, Mark, a bit of pain in your voice at this first half display by your former club.
Well, you can't discredit Gold Coast United either. They've come out here and they've really had a go. And they've probably had the better of the plate. Both tend to have created equal opportunities. They went up one up on the scoreboard, Gold Coast, because of that set piece. But I just get the feeling they've been a bit unlucky as well. Mark Bridge had a couple of good opportunities. But at home, it's been tough. I mean, over the last 6-7 years, the club has always tended to start it off poorly, majority of the time. They find themselves in the same situation again today.
Can they get back on level terms here? Emerton with a little chip. There's two waiting here. Nick CARLE on the volley. Oh, and it took a deflection, which just took it wide of the post. I think Glen MOSS might have been beaten.
That was McGowan on that occasion. Mark Bridge putting Brett Emerton through and a little dink over the top to Nick CARLE, and look at that. Is it going to be one of those days for Sydney FC again? There's some great opportunities.
Here's the corner. Beauchamp winning the aerial duel, but unable to deflect it towards goal.
As a player, you just sense sometimes you're creating opportunities and you're getting some great chances to score a goal, and be it a defender's leg gets in the way, or a deflection, or a bar, or a goalkeeper who's on fire. You get the feeling that sometimes it's just not your day, but they've got to keep plugging away. You've got to retain that belief and keep working hard at creating opportunities.
Traore looking for JUNGSCHLAGER. This is CARLE. KISEL. Jamieson is the free man on the left. Quickly closed down by McGowan. Can he get the cross in? Gets a corner.
It's good defending by McGowan. Jamieson could have really just had a look up, taken the touch and whipped that ball over nice and early. Instead he's taken an extra touch and delayed the runs. and the strikers in the box.
Jamieson again with the outswinger. Gold Coast deal with it. McFlynn to return it. Back in by Jamieson, chested down by Carl. Comes out for McFlynn, now Jamieson. Moriyasu, that's a good turn by Hiro Moriyasu. Emerton offers on the left-hand side, whips it in towards the near post. Beacham was the furthest forward for Sydney FC.
That's what we were talking about earlier. Someone making a run, it was the defender Beacham. He was able to do that.
Carl, right idea. Gold Coast defending stoutly at the moment. Emerton. Carl trying to ride the challenge of JUNGSCHLAGER. Moriyasu. Carl back for Emerton. Jamieson. Up towards halfway by JUNGSCHLAGER. BOSSCHAART. It's a good ball. Kisel. Jamie COYNE. Now Bridge. Back to COYNE. Drills it low and hard across the face, but there's nobody within a couple of metres of the ball for Sydney FC.
No, there weren't, but there were 4 players in the box on that occasion as well, Simon. And again, you'd like to think that at least one of those 4 players would just have a go and just make that run into the near post. You can see they're almost in a line, those 4 players. Not much communication between them either.
Well, they're trying to force the issue, Sydney FC. They've certainly had their opportunities in this first half, denied by a mixture of good goalkeeping and at times even better defending. They've scrambled pretty well, Gold Coast, at the back. More work to do here for them. Carl just behind Emerton. Carl through the legs of Brown, but Gold Coast have it.
Leave the ball!
Gold Coast United, by the way, with only 2 wins from their last 12 away trips. Nice victories in Perth and Adelaide. They're sitting pretty at the moment.
For their sake, you hope they don't think too defensive for the rest of this match. Got to have a go as well. They've been defending for the good part of the last 15 minutes. A couple of minutes until they go into the break.
Long throw launched towards McAllister. Up in the air, Reddy will claim it. And the early release for Mark Bridge. Jamie COYNE is charging forward. Charged down by Rees. McAllister, good header and good refereeing too by Peter Green. He initially played the advantage. They'll now bring them back for the free kick. It's all gone a little quiet around the SFS.
It may well change in the second half. Sydney FC attack the end where their beloved Cove fans are placed. Two
2 minutes of added time at the end of the first period. It's a goal that the Sydney FC fans want. They've scored just 3 times this season, the Sky Blues. They are, as we said at the start, the competition's lowest scorers at this present moment. Could that be their Achilles heel this season, Roods, if they don't find somebody to regularly put the ball in the back of the net? One problem that Vitezslav Lavicka has to try and solve. Mark Bridge, one potential answer. He has had a couple of good chances.
Well, I suppose the Sydney FC fans will be questioning the fact that they've got 2 foreign players who are strikers in Markella and CAZARINE. One's on the bench today, the other one's not even in the squad.
Markella is 2 weeks away from being fit, we understand. This is ROBSON. Cheaply given away by Sydney FC. Howls of disappointment from the Cove. BEEKMANS. Adama TRAORE. TRAORE has stayed down. I must admit I didn't see that. Maybe it was a clash as he was trying to burst forward in support of that attack after playing the initial pass. I don't know whether you saw it, Roots, but he's clearly in some pain.
It was a body check off the ball. There you go.
Seemed to be too much in it at first glance, but coming together of bodies with Jamie COYNE has left Adama TRAORE prone on the turf. Experiencing some grief. Still, the magic spray will do its work as Miron Bleiberg and Mike Mulvey run over the tactics, perhaps for the second half. Maybe even the half-time team talk is the topic of their discussion.
With the left thigh heavily strapped as well, Adama TRAORE. He's really gone into the game. A slight injury. Just picked up a knock or a cork there. And they can be painful.
So the boy from Bonduku, the Ivory Coast, will, I was going to say, sit out the remaining few seconds of the first half. He's come back on. He only had to be on the pitch for a second more. There we go, half time. And Sydney FC, despite creating quite a few chances, trail to Kristian REES' header after 22 minutes. Mark Bridge in particular has had a couple of good chances to get them back on level terms, but goals remain the problem for the Sky Blues. Half time at the SFS, Sydney FC 0, Gold Coast United 1. And join Adam Peacock and Mark Bosnich for the half-time show. Their thoughts coming up in a few minutes' time.
So it continues for Gold Coast United against Sydney FC. They lead at the break. They've had the wood on the Harbour City boys. 4 wins in 6 meetings. And they're pretty happy with things at the moment as it stands. It is Gold Coast United 1, Sydney FC 0. As the masses walk past us, it seems half the crowd's been let onto the pitch. It's actually Champions of Champions parade. That the local teams who have won the statewide competition are out here, all the age groups through to the all ages. It's good to see. There's Pittwater RSL, who won the Open, the Premier League's Champions of Champions. A good scene, a good thing involving all levels of football, boss.
It is. It's very, very important that you engage the grassroots, and Sydney have really made an effort to do that. In the past, they've been criticised about not doing that, but Dirk Melton's done a fabulous job since he's come here as CEO, and long may it continue. In a city of 5 million people, you need to really engage not only the local Sydney area, the CBD area, but also all areas of Sydney, and congratulations must go to Sydney.
Back to what we've seen in that first half, Sydney with the edge in possession, but Gold Coast spending more time in Sydney FC's half, but pretty even, Boz. Really impressive stuff from Gold Coast early doors, and they were rewarded with a neat little goal. Mike Mulvey, apparently, the assistant coach, is putting his hand up for this set piece. Kristian REES with the goal. Yeah,
poor marking by Sydney, but I thought a goal that Gold Coast deserved at the beginning. Their fluency to their play was excellent. After they scored, I would say about 5 or 10 minutes after they scored, Sydney came back into it, but just wasn't too happy. Here we look at the marking. Look, it just completely lost him. I think it was COYNE. And you just can't let that happen. You heard Mark Rudan talking about before the games. I mean, not only before the games, but during the week, you make sure that those type of conceding from set plays just don't happen. Fluency of play, the Gold Coast, like I said to you, for the first 25 minutes up into the goal, I thought were a far better side. Sydney then slowly came back into it, but I'm still not quite happy. There's something not quite right there. I'm not so sure with Terry McFlynn playing that position when they're in possession, just in front of the back four. It's okay when he's defending, but when he's playing in front of him, when they're trying to play through him, he's not that type of player that you can do that with. I'm not so sure they need to tinker around a bit with that, because his distribution hasn't been the best in the first half, and it's breaking down a lot of moves that Sydney had before they even get started.
They did have chances, though, and they all pretty much fell to Mark Bridge at one stage there. I think he had 4 chances in about 5 minutes, including a ridiculous off-the-line save from Michael THWAITE and a really good save from Glen Moss here for all 4.
Glen Moss made 2 excellent saves. This one here, well, here we go, comes back out. Well, that wasn't a save, but there you go. This was the save of the match so far. It was an excellent save. Went with the right hand, went with his left hand, but as a right hand to go with, and that was the save of the match so far. It was exceptional. This long clearance by Reddy, very quick thinking, and Bridge, super finish, can do no more, but this by Michael THWAITE, that is hello chicks. I've got to say, that is a hello chicks moment of the weekend.
Well, you said that there's actually a one above a hello chicks. It's hello ladies. That's for the exclusive.
That hasn't happened yet. And there were questions that whether or not it was offside, but the linesman was right. It wasn't offside, but Glen Moss, once again, a very, very important save. And Sydney's chances haven't really come from sort of any type of dynamic or fluent play. You've seen a long clearance by Reddy, and it's sort of like you could say mistakes by Gold Coast in terms of their positioning and so forth. They need to really not only up the tempo, which they did do after Gold Coast score, but they just need to get a little bit more of a settled pattern. They like this rotation of midfield and so forth. Now, that's okay if you've been playing together for a long time, but they haven't been, and they just need to get a little bit more settled.
And this is the chance to Nick CARLE as well. Dylan MCGOWAN with a fantastic block there before it even got to Glen Moss, but you dare say Glen Moss, in the form that he's in, he would have caught it.
I think he would have saved. There's a good strike there by Nicky CARLE. He's worked very, very hard, but tactically Gold Coast have played it very, very well. They've got ROBSON pretty much pushing on a little bit further forward in midfield, and they're dropping back JUNGSCHLAGER, who's been excellent as well, to pick up CARLE to make sure that Bridge stays as isolated as possible. So once again, Gold Coast tactically and technically got it very right in the first half.
And an enterprising game as a whole as well. Plenty of chances, plenty of players getting into dangerous positions as it stands right now. Now, next week in the Hyundai A-League, it's been fantastic this weekend. More to come. Hopefully, we've got Gold Coast United at home to Adelaide United. Oddly enough, though, that one is at Hindmarsh Stadium. Gold Coast United gave up that home game as the Manly Vale girls walked past, and that's a magnificent club, was it, Manly Vale?
Oh, yeah, no, Northern Beaches bias, there we go.
And looking forward to, of course, Central Coast and Melbourne Victory too, in light of Melbourne Victory's performance last night. Can they build? Looking forward to the second half here as the parade goes on at the Sydney Football Stadium. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back to the Sydney Football Stadium. Sydney FC with a job to do in the second 45 in front of a growingly frustrated crowd here at home. Liam REDDY couldn't believe, undone by the set piece, and Kristian REES in his 100th game with another goal like he did last week. The odds, thanks to TAB Sports Bets, and punters have hopped on Gold Coast United, now into odds on at $1.70. Sydney FC out to $4.20, the draw at $3.50. And just before we throw it back up to our commentators, quick word on Gold Coast United. As that half went on, they were becoming increasingly frustrated with their own midfield's performance. Paul BEEKMANS, just before the break, came over to the bench and yelled at his coaching staff to say that we had 4 backmen on 2 strikers. What are we doing? 2 men not picking up because the midfield was getting outplayed, and indeed Kristian REES at various stages during that half was looking over to his bench saying, boys, we've got no midfield. So a bit to ponder as well for Gold Coast United, see how it plays out. Let's get back to the commentators for the second 45. Simon Hill and Mark Rudden.
Good work, Adam. Thanks very much for that. Yeah, Paul BEEKMANS, not the captain, that's Michael THWAITE, but certainly is one of the leaders of Gold Coast, and he looks to be a very shrewd acquisition from Miron Bleiberg. So a few things to sort out for the Gold Coast. No doubt a few things to sort out for Vitezslav Lavicka as well, as they seek to turn around this, well, I suppose you could almost call it a hoodoo against Gold Coast. Just one win in 6 before today against the men from southeast Queensland, and it's not going the way of the Sky Blues again here this afternoon, despite those chances that they had in the first period. There's the goal scorer on a big day for him, Kristian REES, his 100th A-League appearance, and he's marked it with a goal. And Sydney FC have marked the start of the second half with a change. Bruno CAZARINE replacing Hiro Moriyasu. Interesting. So maybe just a slight tactical tweak by Vitezslav Lavicka. CAZARINE and Bridge up front, perhaps, with Nick CARLE in behind. We shall see. Before we start the second half, also just to mark 7 years ago today, passing of the great Johnny Warren. I'm sure he would have enjoyed this weekend of football that we're having in the Hyundai A-League. That was, of course, his vision. Great man no longer with us, but no doubt watching the A-League from above as we get the second half underway. This is Maceo RIGTERS exchanging passes with ROBSON. Early ball in. BOSSCHAART having to stretch and tidying up for Sydney FC. Mark Rudden, how do you see the second half going?
Well, they've changed not so much the formation, but the personnel in the formation. Karol KISEL is now on the right-hand side of that midfield diamond. Nick CARLE on the top of the diamond.
Now here's a chance for Dylan MACALLISTER, who's onside. Out comes Reddy, he's not got there, and Dylan MACALLISTER scores. And what a great time to score for the Gold Coast. And the big man who started his career in Sydney reminds his hometown of what he can do. 2-0 for Gold Coast United. And what a disaster that is, Mark Rudden, for Sydney FC.
Well, they've just got themselves out of the dressing sheds. And again, worked his way out of a tussle on Dylan MACALLISTER, who had acres of space, no one really around him. His Beauchamp there was caught on the wrong side. It's a great ball in by JUNGSCHLAGER as well. Rounds the keeper, Liam REDDY, with ease, to be honest, and tucks it away for the second. Gold Coast on fire in the second half. 2-0 to the good away from home. It's going to be a tough ask now for Sydney FC. Let's see what they're made of.
Well, the hill that they had to climb, Sydney FC, has just become something approaching a mountain. All the best laid plans at half-time completely out of the window for Vitezslav Lavicka. By the way, the Gold Coast are probably going to make a change shortly. Adama TRAORE wants to come off, we understand. This is Scott JAMIESON, as Sydney trying to at least halve the deficit. He's calling for the change to be made ASAP, Adama TRAORE. He did go down with an injury towards the end of the first half. Maybe they thought that they'd give him a couple of minutes, Mark, but it's clearly not worked.
No, it hasn't. You know, we mentioned his thigh being heavily strapped as well before he clattered into Jamie COYNE in the first half. Probably would have run around in the dressing room keeping it warm. He's lasted all of 2.5 minutes so far before he's decided to put his hand up and he'll have it to the bench that he can't continue.
And he's going to be replaced by Ambers Yosef, the Eritrean. One of the more fascinating stories of the Hyundai A-League. Part of a team of Eritreans, really 10 of them in total, who fled their native land after the East African Cup back in 2009, and they've all ended up in Australia. 8 of them are playing in the South Australian Super League, and the 2 who apparently have the most potential, of which Yosef is one, have of course signed on for Gold Coast United. It's a great tale. So here he is, Ambers Yosef. It's not a bad time to come on with your team leading by 2-0. Told that Adama TRAORE still suffering from that cork that he received in the first half, so that's why he's unable to continue. This is Mark Bridge. Sydney FC attacking the Cove end in this second half. Up it goes towards Bruno CAZARINE. And it's a goal kick. And listen to the frustration from the Sydney FC fans.
Never good to hear the boos start coming out, especially from your home supporters. And again, McAllister, so much room around him as well.
It's a good finish though, fairness to him.
Super finish. But his first touch, he pushed around Liam REDDY all right. And too far ahead of him either. With a bit of pace too, he found the back of the net. It's just those wide areas Sydney FC get themselves into. It's a really tough position to score a goal from as well. Unless that ball's whipped in behind the defence, it's tough to get your head onto it, foot onto it. Got to work harder, be more disciplined, especially in those wide areas and that cross, and those balls are coming in from the left and right. Jamieson, we've seen him do that in quite a few occasions in the first half. We've seen KISEL now with one cross as well.
Jamie COYNE drifting in field. Bridge didn't get a touch. Maybe it took a bobble on the surface. He's done well to retrieve the situation and gives it straight to Dylan MCGOWAN. And this situation now, Mark, will suit the Gold Coast down to the ground. They'll invite Sydney on and try and hit on the counter.
And they certainly will, and they've got a lot of pace as well in ROBSON and RIGTERS as well. Forget James Brown, who's looking at Jamieson over his shoulder and putting him back ever so slightly, but they defended ever so stoutly in that first half. Gold Coast, especially in those last 20 minutes when they were under the pump.
What can Nick CARLE conjure up here for Sydney FC? CAZARINE with the exchange. Bruno CAZARINE. Sliced off the boot. Again, there are claims for a corner. Not heeded by Peter Green. Good work by Nick CARLE.
It certainly was. Good combination play by Sydney FC. Karol KISEL this time came in from the flank, playing one little 1-2, and CAZARINE, who pulled away from his marker, tried to hit it with his left foot, his non-preferred foot as well. Now for a goal kick. Better signs here by Sydney FC. Just got to be careful, especially when they're going through the middle. There's a lot of Gold Coast defenders, a lot of white shirts in that area.
Down goes James Brown. Free kick for the Gold Coast. I think he felt that one, James Brown. I was going to make a joke there about it being a man's world. I think I just have.
Sometimes you wonder, with a name like that, as famous as that, just how much ribbing you do get. I'm sure he would have got it growing up. And certainly getting it with his teammates.
That's a good knockdown by CAZARINE, and Joseph was in there quickly enough to deny Karol KISEL. There's an urgency about Sydney FC, rightly so. Run that they had, of course, at the start of last season, 10 games without a win. Of course, they've already got one win this season, but you're not going to drift too far down the table, particularly when Brisbane Roar are setting such a cracking pace at the top. CARLE. Emerton. CARLE being hassled and harried by the muscular figure of Kristian REES. KISEL. Jamie COYNE gets the throw in. CAZARINE. Joseph got there first. And ditto Karol KISEL. COYNE gets the corner for Sydney FC. A sliver of encouragement for those in the Cove. KISEL's delivery. Good header clear by Dylan MACALLISTER. Contributing at both ends this afternoon for the Gold Coast. Big number 12. Jamieson returns it, up goes Beauchamp. And Peter Green spots the infringement. Michael THWAITE has come off worst in that aerial duel. And normally he plays with a smile on his face, Michael THWAITE, but he can snarl too, and he certainly copped an arm there from Michael Beauchamp. Ouch. Nearly took his head off.
Again, Michael THWAITE laughing it off. Not so Michael Beauchamp. Let's see whose team is up at the moment.
MACALLISTER. Good touch. BEEKMANS too far for Brown. Jamison's attempted clearance cannons into the back of ROBSON. CAZARINE finding KISEL. Now they try and hit Brett EMERTON early. He's got the motor to get there, don't worry about that. Super ball too. Oh goodness me, how did they score there? Bridge still might. Glen MOSS denies them, and another chance goes begging for Sydney FC. What a ball from Brett EMERTON.
Absolutely. He's gone to his bike. He's on his bike. It's a good ball as well. Brett EMERTON. He's charging that left-hand side.
Swung in towards CAZARINE. EMERTON drops the shoulder. And it comes off the heel of Dylan MCGOWAN. Sydney are starting to press. Action stations for the Gold Coast. The Cove up the noise levels. Jamison's corner. Way by MACALLISTER. KISEL. COYNE. Crosses deep, too deep. And really, Mark, that is a chance right on a plate for Mark Bridge. And perhaps the sign of a striker that's not really in the best of form, best of confidence at the moment.
Well, confidence is probably the better word right now, and he should have scored that.
Was it an awkward height for him?
Well, he would have seen the delivery and the bounce. He would have anticipated the bounce. And again, he's shaking his head. He's disappointed with himself too. He's not happy. He should have buried that, to be honest. Again, great work by Brett EMERTON. Able to deliver that ball in behind the defence too. It's always tough for a defender to defend or clear away. But he got himself in a good situation too, Mark Bridge. He made a little run on the shoulder of Rees. Again, it was Glen MOSS who came to the fore for the second attempt and third attempt by Mark Bridge.
Well, at least he's getting in the right positions. But it's goals that Sydney FC need. And at the moment, they're just not coming for the team in Sky Blue.
Occasionally here we see man BEEKMANS get beaten by Brett EMERTON. Just dropped the shoulder. He's starting to throw his body and weight around this second half.
Got a busy week coming up. Brett EMERTON, of course, he's on the plane to the Middle East with the Socceroos tomorrow after being recalled to Holger Osik's squad. See those games against Oman and Thailand on Fox Sports. Australia's sports leader. Rees battling for the ball. BEEKMANS comes away with it. Cushion pass by McFlynn, didn't really find its target. Here's Richters, who by last week's standards has had a reasonably quiet game. Header by THWAITE. This is JUNGSCHLAGER, and Brett EMERTON full of energy, full of running as always. And he's kept the ball in play. Great play by the Sydney FC number 7. Finds Jamieson too, and that's a crucial challenge by James Brown. Corner for Sydney.
Well done, James Brown. Followed Scott Jamieson's run all the way.
He's taken off the pitch with him, I think.
He certainly has. It's just been returfed 3 weeks ago. Brett EMERTON found the ball inside for Scott Jamieson. Super tackle as well. Don't really know what he's arguing about.
EMERTON with the in-swinger, and Glen MOSS with palm away. Swinging towards CAZARINE, Bruno CAZARINE! Sydney are back in the game. Right on the hour mark. And now we've got a contest. Finally, say the Cove.
Chance of Bruno out there. Kisel out to BOSSCHAART, who's delivered a fantastic ball into CAZARINE. You have to jump all that much. Wasn't too much movement in there either from the players, Sydney FC players. CAZARINE, the only one that was really making a move towards goal. Fantastic header there in the far corner of Glen Moss's net. As you mentioned, it is game on now, 2-1.
Super header by Bruno CAZARINE, and Brett EMERTON is leading the charge for Sydney FC. McFlynn swept out for COYNE. Here's Bridge. No foul is the cry from the Gold Coast players. They're under the pump a bit here. Credit to Sydney FC, fighting their way back into the game. Carl's floated ball. Out comes Glen MOSS. Good strong fist clear, only as far as Jamieson. It's too high for the fullback.
It's all Sydney now. And you can thank Brett EMERTON for that. His running, his skill and power.
It's a really good header from
certainly
CAZARINE.
is as well. Didn't get too much of a head start on his defender. He certainly knows where the back of the net is. He's got a clutch of goals last year for this team. He's found himself on the bench at the start of the season. But that's what you want from your substitute as well. He's not happy. I'm sure it's a message to his coach and his staff.
16 shots on goal Sydney FC have had. Finally, they've made one count. Bruno CAZARINE moves into double figures during his time at the SFS. Well, it's given them a toehold in the game, which looked to be getting away from them. Bridge. All of a sudden, they're sprightly Sydney FC. Bit of confidence about their play. Nick CARLE. Oh, beautifully done. Bridge took the shot. It breaks here for Nick CARLE. 2-2. What a comeback! And Nick CARLE not only created that, he finished it. And how! Beautiful goal by Sydney FC.
Well, as LL Cool J would say, don't call it a comeback. They're certainly in this game. They have been here around for years as well, Sydney FC. They've done it before, they're doing it again today. Again, is that man Brett EMERTON who started things with a quickly taken throw in. Mark Bridge on the end of it, got a little bit lucky with a ricochet. And 3-3 for Nick CARLE.
The first time he's ever scored in 3 consecutive A-League games. Well, they're right back in it now. How quickly a game of football changes. They were down on their luck. They were down in the mouth. But they're not quite out of this contest, and they've proved that, Sydney FC. And credit to them, a real show of character from the Sky Blues. could they go on and win it?
Well, this is it. The next 5-10 minutes are extremely important, well, for both sides as well. Can Sydney continue on this rich vein of form they're in it, especially in the last 10-15 minutes? And what will Gold Coast do as well?
CAZARINE, who's perhaps been the catalyst, and he releases Mark Bridge and then hares towards the penalty box. Can Bridge find him? Instead, it's fisted clear by Moss. Not the best delivery, in truth, by Mark Bridge.
It's 4-on-4 as well. Brett EMERTON, CAZARINE, and Karol KISEL as well made the journey to the 18-yard box. Mark Bridge, see what he was trying to do there as well. Just take that ball in behind for CAZARINE. Got too much of it.
Now here's Richters. Danger when he's on the ball. It's Maceo RIGTERS, and that was well smothered by Beauchamp. Joseph across the penalty box. Brett EMERTON is everywhere at the moment. CAZARINE trying to hold it up. He and Nick CARLE have literally grabbed this game by the scruff of the neck, Mark.
They certainly have. Kudos to Brett EMERTON as well. He's been fantastic. That's what you want from your experienced player, your marquee man as well. When the going gets tough, the tough get going. Brett EMERTON certainly has done that for the Sky Blues today. Still 25 minutes left in this game though. And again, it's about who can keep it up. You've got to keep your concentration levels up as well. Physically, who's able to make the run and get back.
Almost a loose one from McFlynn. Still have to keep their concentration, the home side. Gold Coast will remain a threat. Another back heel from EMERTON. He's really turning it on. Nick CARLE floats it through. Space for CAZARINE, and the touch didn't help him.
Oh, well, there was no one on him either. Rees went to the left to CAZARINE.
Here's Michael THWAITE. Sorry, Mark. Michael THWAITE striding forward from defence. Terry McFlynn's going to get a yellow card for his troubles here, and that tackle.
Cynical yellow card as well by Terry. You saw it coming. THWAITE thrown himself into the midfield, trying to make a break forward. Terry McFlynn, the captain, brought him down, deservedly got a yellow card. Again, it was CAZARINE earlier who had the opportunity to turn on that ball. If he did so, it was free on goal. Only the keeper to beat, really. You know, he was just outside the 18-yard. He took that first touch backwards toward goal.
ROBSON taking the fast bowler's run up here for this free kick. He's going to have a dig, you know. It's not a bad try either. It must have been all of 40 metres. Well, there was no subtlety about it. He went back as far as Bob Willis used to do 30 years ago for his run-up. Dennis Lilly and Jeff Thompson.
And Alan Donald in recent memory.
Delivered with equal venom too. Liam REDDY taking no chances. Brown's corner. That's on the volley by Dylan MACALLISTER, but no problems for REDDY.
Interesting to see on that occasion. Sydney FC had all bodies back defending that corner in the first half. Kept a couple of players up on the halfway line this time. They were all in that defensive third. And there was no quick breakaway either.
Says BOSSCHAART. Jamieson. Bridge. Quite on the same wavelength. This is ROBSON. Nick CARLE again, tracking back. Now let's go down to Mark Bosnich, who's got something he wants to share with us. Bozza.
Thanks, Simon. Just to say about Brett EMERTON, how he really inspired Sydney when they were 2-0 down. He's running, and him and Nick CARLE, and the effort that they've put in has got Sydney right back into this game. They've got their foot on Gold Coast's throat now. They just don't want to let up. And a much more settled midfield. In the first half, we saw them chopping and changing. No one quite knew where they were. They seem much more settled, and also the injection of CAZARINE has made a huge difference. Massive game for Sydney. They need to win this now. The crowd are right on their side.
They need to win it because you tipped them, Bozza, in the competition, is that right?
That's right.
Thought so. Mind you, I did too, to be fair. Jamie COYNE. KISEL. Foul by Joseph. Quickly taken free kick. Nick CARLE. Bridge. A lot more fluency about Sydney now. Coyne floats it in. Up goes CAZARINE again. Well, he is a threat, isn't he? It's just given them that aerial presence that perhaps they needed.
Absolutely. You've seen the first half to get CARLE and Mark Bridge, by their own admission, will tell you, they haven't scored too many goals with their head. CAZARINE is the best header of the ball. The Sydney FC lineup. He's running in and around that box as well. Just knows when to get away from his marker. There's big pride to that ball being delivered from those wide areas. It's just about service now. Karol KISEL on that occasion just floated it a little bit too much. Really difficult to get a lot of power on the ball when the ball's seeing that much airtime.
It's going to be too far for Elton. Just on the Gold Coast, Mark, if you're Miron Bleiberg, I suppose you're pretty unhappy that your team has lost control, not just the lead, but lost control of this game completely. What does he do about it?
Well, first thing is you try to make sure that your experienced players are giving as much as they can, and that man there, because really hasn't been in the game from the start of the game, and you'd be making sure that you get into his ear and making sure that nothing much really changes from the first 25 minutes they had in that first half. But again, it comes down to self-motivation. Each individual in that team it's got to come from within as well. They've got to make sure first and foremost, when things aren't going right, that they keep it simple. They just pass and move and work ever so hard when they do lose possession of the ball to try and get it back. And they just got to continue on what's made them so successful, especially going after going 2-0 up. It happens in the game where you are up and then you concede a goal, and again it's that first goal that you concede. 2-0 is always a tough lead to hold on to as well. It's that first goal, when you concede that, how do you respond 5 or 10 minutes after it? And they didn't respond too well.
Well, they've got the chance here perhaps through Dylan MACALLISTER, but all the sting taken out of that shot by BOSSCHAART. Early release by Liam REDDY. You can see what he was trying to do. Kristian REES read it. This is Joseph. Now JUNGSCHLAGER. RIGTERS, who's swapped over to the right flank here with Brown on the left just for the moment. Given away by ROBSON. Emerton, as Mark Bosnich alluded to, is absolutely flying at the moment. At least he was. There you go. That's the commentator's curse, Roots, in all its glory. ROBSON. RIGTERS. MACALLISTER out for Joseph. BEEKMANS. Bit of a miscontrol by him. At least the Gold Coast seeing a bit more of the ball at the moment. Might force a chance here as well, MACALLISTER. And again, BOSSCHAART, who's been excellent today in many areas, makes the block.
And such good value, not just today. The first 4 games as well for Sydney FC.
Throw-in finds Joseph. Brown. Bit of a miss hit with the cross, but MACALLISTER retrieves it. JUNGSCHLAGER. Onrushing Michael THWAITE takes over, and Terry McFlynn boots it into touch.
THWAITE, the captain of this team as well, trying to get himself into the game and his team into the game as well. You can just sense the players in front of him there aren't moving and playing as well as they have in those opening 25 to 35 minutes. Trying to put stamp or his own authority into the game.
JUNGSCHLAGER's throw. It's a deep 1-2 flicked on by MACALLISTER, but Brown had gambled at the near post rather than the far. What an intriguing last 15 or so minutes we've got after Sydney drew level. Nick CARLE, beautiful skill to initially set up Mark Bridge. They got a bit of a lucky break, but perhaps Carl's earlier play deserved that, and a very cool finish his third of the season. And the first time he's scored in 3 straight games in the A-League.
It's amazing what confidence can do for a player. He's had a full pre-season. Says it's completely down to that, his form so far.
Now Brown trying to release Richters, and Reddy very quickly off his line.
Again, you can just see the mentality of both these two sides. At 2-2, Sydney FC worked ever so hard to get themselves back into this game. It's just really slowed down the pace as well. I'd like to have seen them keep the pressure up.
Now Karl finding CAZARINE, and that's good defensive cover provided by Dylan MCGOWAN. CAZARINE has just had that ability today to drift into space and find a bit of room, not only for himself but by association his teammates. Now Gold Coast have made a change. Maceo RIGTERS has been replaced by the fleet of foot Ben HALLORAN. Crowd figure today at the SFS, 11,051. So the 2 opening games, Sydney FC, a distinct improvement upon last season's rather paltry average of 7,500. And they've been entertained by 4 goals. Maybe it's not finished yet. Josef caught on the blind side by Nick CARLE. McAllister infield for JUNGSCHLAGER. THWAITE. HALLORAN. THWAITE looking to pick out James Brown, who made a clever little run. Comes off HALLORAN, goal kick Sydney. Kisel on halfway. Nick CARLE taking over. Jamie COYNE, CAZARINE and Emerton waiting. Emerton just throwing the arms up in frustration that the cross didn't arrive to where he was stationed. Halloran's solid challenge by Michael BEAUCHAMP. What? I know you tackle when Michael BEAUCHAMP comes in and challenges you. He's got some ground to make up here. Scott JAMIESON providing cover.
They certainly do. It's a big unit, BEAUCHAMP. Oshka. But have a look at Nicky Carley's. In line with the back 4 there. Doing a lot of work defensively. Lavicka and his coaching staff would know if that's where they want him to be when the ball's in that part of the park.
There he is again, Karl, but he's lost out to THWAITE this time. HALLORAN. James Brown. Now BEEKMANS. Gold Coast just got a little bit more control of the game for that period where they were really all over the place as Sydney FC pushed and pushed for the equaliser, which eventually came, but they're stretched again here, the Gold Coast. Brett EMERTON herring down the right flank. There are 2 to aim for in the middle. Nicky CARLE arriving now. Nicky CARLE. And he's rather butchered that opportunity. And the approach play again was electric from Brett EMERTON.
Certainly was. Quick delivery, quick pass out from the back as well. There's Brett EMERTON on his bike, you saw it coming. Just driving towards goal. Had a look up, Mark Bridge was free in that far post, but Nicky CARLE as well. Got just too much for that ball. Wrapped his foot right around it. Got it horribly wrong in the end. But again, you've got to give him credit for getting involved in that play. It was a good 60 metres away. Worked hard to get into that position too. But just since that Gold Coast, although generally they've had a bit of the ball in the last 5 minutes, they haven't really created any problems for Liam Reddy in his defence. A lot of sideway movement.
Another back heel from Brett EMERTON. Tell you what, we're going to have to make a nice little video compile of all of those flicks and tricks from Emo. Here he is again, trying to break the offside line, which he's just failed to do. He might have to pick up a yellow card here as well, long after the whistle had gone.
Just straying offside. Brett not happy to be shown a yellow card for that. And there's the rules though. It's a tough one, it's a difficult one. I'm not a fan of it, to be honest. But they are the rules.
And a yellow card it was, Sydney FC's third. Halloran just unable to keep it in play, and Sydney FC are going to make a change here. Sebastian RYALL is being readied. Just have to wait for the next break in play. ROBSON. Support here from Dylan MCGOWAN. Oh, and down he goes inside the box. Peter Green has a look at it. Decides that that is simulation and awards the yellow card for Dylan MCGOWAN. Well, the replay will tell us more.
You see what Pascal was trying to do.
Oh, it's a clear dive. It's a clear dive.
Jeez,
well, he's saying he just fell over. But
I hardly think so. Seems a good actors in the past, but it's one of the worst performances you'll see as far as simulation is concerned.
Good job he's not playing for Sydney. He'd get fined these days, wouldn't he, by his own teammates?
That's right.
Here's the change for Sydney FC. Jamie COYNE off and Sebastian RYALL on. So a like-for-like replacement. Got a few options in that right fullback area. Sydney FC. Shannon Cole, of course, can play there. He'll be fit again next week, we're told, for the trip to Perth. Sydney would like to go there with 3 points in their back pocket from this afternoon's game. In fairness, even one looked pretty unlikely before their comeback, which saw 2 goals scored in the space of 3 or 4 minutes.
He's been quality again tonight. Pascal BOSSCHAART, the Dutchman, played many games in the midfield as well in the Eredivisie. You can see as well how composed he is when the ball comes his way. Always looks to go forward as well.
I can tell you're an ex-centre-back, Roots. Your eye is inexplicably drawn, isn't it, to the to the central defenders.
Well,
he's played well. He's played well.
Yes, he's played extremely well. He's cut off a lot of passes from Gold Coast midfielders into the path of the forwards. He's tackled well. He's got his body in the way as well. Just like the way when he has possession of the ball, he always looks to go forward, and he's looking to do things quite quickly too. He's had a really good game all around.
It's a good signing for Sydney FC. EMERTON, quick throw. Bridge was on his way, behind off MCGOWAN. Chance for them to apply more pressure to Glen Moss's goal, and that man BOSSCHAART has made his way forward. He's never ever scored in his career, Pascal BOSSCHAART. It'll come come back towards Jamieson, who fires it across. And again, it was CAZARINE who claims the corner. It might be interesting to see on the replay. The referee and linesman in agreement that it was a goal kick. Well, looks like they got it right. Perhaps he's given Vitezslav Lavicka a selection conundrum next week. The boos are for the delay in taking the goal kick by Glen MOSS. Over 5 minutes to go at the SFS.
Yes.
Game that's seen periods of dominance for both sides. Perhaps in that regard a draw would be a fair result, but I'm sure neither side is willing to settle for it. JUNGSCHLAGER. EMERTON trying to shepherd it out for a goal kick, but ROBSON was right on his heel. This is Karol KISEL. Oh, beautiful ball by KISEL. Jamieson now bridges free at the centre, and Jamieson can't pick him out. What a ball from Karol KISEL. And from Sydney FC's perspective, Mark Rudin, if only Jamieson could have picked out Mark Bridge, that probably could have been 3-2.
Well, it would have been, although Mark Bridge hasn't got a lot of confidence at the moment, but he got that horribly wrong. What's a ball by Karol KISEL on the half volley. Bent over. Right in the path of Scott Jamieson. Maybe he's starting to tire Scotty Jamieson as well. He's worked quite hard to get up and down the pitch, but again, it's about keeping your concentration levels up and that quality up. It's a big chance gone begging for Sydney. Only a few minutes remaining in this match.
Well, both these sides have had 2 draws apiece already this season. Wins they want. This is a really raking run from Michael THWAITE, which is only brought to a halt by the trip from Nick CARLE. Has a little bit of afters too. He's not often an angry ant, Michael THWAITE, but lost his rag on a couple of occasions today, and that one's not finished by a long chalk.
Not just today either. We've seen that happen in the last few weeks with Michael THWAITE too.
Yellow card for Nick CARLE.
See again, THWAITE thrusting himself into the midfield. He was late too, Nick CARLE. And there are the afters. We don't know what Nick CARLE has said to Michael THWAITE. Well, we're still going as well. Pascal BOSSCHAART got involved as well.
Oh, keep an eye on that. A very, very frank exchange of views between THWAITE and CARLE. That shows the passion for their jerseys. Pascal BOSSCHAART is getting involved as well. Well, I've no idea what was said, obviously, but whatever it was, the players are furious. Now CAZARINE's getting involved.
They're taking the turns, aren't they?
What on earth is all this about? I mean, it was a foul by Nick CARLE earlier on, but
absolutely,
clearly something has been said to raise the ire of the players to that extent. Tempers at boiling point.
See who's going to have the final laugh on this occasion. Gold Coast have a free kick. Quite a good area as well for themselves.
He was absolutely steaming, wasn't he, Michael THWAITE? Here's Brown with the free kick. CAZARINE with the clearing header. THWAITE leaps again, this time beaten by BOSSCHAART. And the Dutch defender will make the break forward. Now, Nick CARLE. Oh, he was dragged back by BEEKMANS. That's going to be a yellow card for the Gold Coast United number 6. Well, it's a very tense last few minutes here at the SFS. A lot riding on this result for two clubs who desperately want the win. And that was as clear a foul as you'll wish to see. Jamieson. Good turn by Bridge, creates the opening. 1-2 with Nick CARLE. Who's going to pull the trigger for Sydney FC? In the end, the answer is nobody, and they settle for a corner kick deep inside the final minute of normal time. Can they find a winner, Sydney FC?
Brett EMERTON, he certainly is on short corner. Scott JAMIESON didn't want it. Want to take it quickly either.
RYALL attacking the ball, and it comes for Nick CARLE here. Lifts it over the top looking for EMERTON, who he finds. EMERTON stick in. Oh, CAZARINE goes down. No penalty, says Peter Green. Well, the Sydney fans, and CAZARINE in particular, are furious. But they've got to keep their focus, because James Brown is setting up a counter-attack here for the Gold Coast. Drama at the end. At one end, are we about to see it at the other? This is Ben HALLORAN. Gets a throw in. Might have been more. 4 minutes of added time. We'll look at that penalty appeal by Sydney FC in a moment. CAZARINE in particular was adamant it should have been a spot kick. Let's have a look. Well,
the hand was there on the back of CAZARINE.
Would have been a bit soft though, Rhodes, would you not agree?
Well, yeah, I suppose so.
I know the old saying is you've seen them give them, but anyway, I'm sure you've got your own opinions at home. Kisel. McAllister. Held up by Seb RYALL, who charges forward. The Cove urging Sydney FC on. In it goes, back it comes for Karol KISEL, who sets it up. Up goes CAZARINE, who drops here for Jamieson. Oh, great save by Glen MOSS to keep the Gold Coast level right at the death. Brilliant stuff by MOSS.
Oh, Scott JAMIESON brings it down to his chest, and that trusted left foot, he lets fly. Fantastic save by Glen MOSS. He's kept his side in it, that's for sure.
Sydney pushing hard for the winner here. 2 minutes of injury time played. Back with BOSSCHAART. In it goes towards Michael BEAUCHAMP. Might drop for BEAUCHAMP. CAZARINE trying to dig it out. Penalty for Sydney. Can't believe it. Dylan MACALLISTER can't believe it.
Wow.
The Cove certainly can. And Sydney perhaps had the chance to win it right at the death.
Unbelievable. 2-0 down. They've got themselves back to 2-2. Well, he's getting it for handball. In all honesty, Dylan MACALLISTER had no idea about that. He was unsighted.
Well, he's saying it just hit me. It was ball to hand. Well, gee, we've had some controversial decisions this weekend in the Hyundai A-League, and that's another one of them. But penalty is the decision, and Karol KISEL has the chance, surely, at this late stage, to win the points for Sydney FC after being 2-0 down. It's surely all on this kick. Karol KISEL against Glen MOSS in front of the Cove. Karol KISEL wins it for Sydney. The comeback is complete. Extraordinary, absolutely
team come back from 2 goals down to win at 3-2. Dylan MACALLISTER, how must he be feeling right now? But it's that man there in his team, Sydney FC. They're going to walk away with the points. It could even be for that push as well at the end, but it's a good penalty too. Low to the right of Glen MOSS.
And interesting that Brett EMERTON didn't take it after missing against Melbourne victory in round 1. Well, what an amazing comeback by Sydney FC. It's all over. Miron Bleiberg looks to the skies and no doubt asks the heavens above how on earth his team did not win that game. It's the first home win of the campaign for Sydney FC as they move back into the top 6. And Gold Coast, after being 2 goals up, have let it slide. And you have to pay credit to the character, the determination, and indeed, in large parts, the quality of Sydney FC to find a way back into the contest. Gold Coast will no doubt argue the toss with a penalty that was awarded, Dylan MACALLISTER in particular. But it's all smiles for the Sky Blues. They have beaten Gold Coast United quite incredibly at the SFS by 3 goals to 2. Well, Mark Rudin, wow, just wow. We thought we had a game yesterday in Melbourne. We've had another one here today that's going to live long in the memory.
Well, may it continue forever and ever for this season anyway. It's a fantastic game. I mean, who would have thought? So many questions have been asked about the Sydney FC team. They've been answered in terms of, well, in terms of a lot of things actually so far today, but their commitment and their belief within each other and their character, more importantly. 2 goals down at home, it's not easy. The Cove started to get on their backs as well. Fantastic performance by Sydney, what a game.
Indeed. Let's go and hear from Nick CARLE, who was on the score sheet today.
Yeah, thanks, Simon. Down here with one of Sydney's main men, especially in the second half. Nicky, sum that up, that turnaround. How did that happen?
Look, I think we've showed it the past few weeks. Their character that's in the club at the moment is absolutely brilliant. We've done it 3 weeks in a row now, coming back from behind, so it shows what true character and leadership we got in our group.
Was there bakes given at half-time, or is it a simple message of just trying to get a bit more fluidity into the match? It wasn't quite there in the first half, would you say?
We lost a few ball in the first half, but I still thought we had the better of the half. We still had the better chances. They scored the goal when they scored early in the second half, which we shouldn't have let happen. But as I said, it shows the character of this team and this club. So credit to the boys. That was absolutely brilliant, and credit to the crowd. They've been magnificent. They stayed behind us and we turned it round.
Yeah, they're going to have a good night tonight, I dare say, especially the Cove. What about yourself? You started last season with 5 games in a row, and then you had injuries left, right and centre. How are you feeling at the moment now?
I'm feeling great, and there's lots of people to thank. I can't even start, but fitness coach, the whole club's been brilliant. They've really helped me out. They've got me back on the park, and hopefully I'm repaying them for the faith they showed in me last year to stick by me, although I had a troubled year.
And you're a goal-scoring freak all of a sudden as well. Nice.
I don't really score many, but they've been on me about staying a bit more forward and trying to get the chances, and look, it's working. So, as I said, credit to the coaching staff, because Bimby at the start of pre-season sat down with me many times and really helped me out. And when you're learning from someone like Bimby, it really helps. Big Cullet, since he's come in, he's had a few chats to me, so Cookie's been unreal too. So to the whole coaching staff, I can't thank him enough.
Well done, Nicky, today. Enjoy the win.
Thank you very much.
Nicky CARLE there. Dylan MACALLISTER, commiserations, mate. Can you quite believe that slipped away at the end?
No, I can't actually. We're really disappointed with the poor performance tonight. We knew they were going to come home strong. They've done it in the past few weeks, but we got the second goal early in the second half, and maybe we went to sleep a bit, and they punished us.
Disappointed at the performance or disappointed at the result? Because it was okay from you guys for large stretches.
Yeah, we've been playing a lot of good football this season, but haven't been getting the results. So it's not good enough. We'd rather be playing bad football than getting the 3 points at the end of the day, and this is the second game where we've lost points right at the end, so we'll go home very upset tonight.
What did you make of the final decision? Spoke to Peter Green as I came out here. He said it was for the trip at the end. It wasn't for any perhaps handball you were involved with. What did you think of the penalty?
Yeah, we went up to challenge for the ball. It fell in between us, and I don't know what happened. I wasn't wasn't watching so much, and the penalty was given, so it just went by so quick.
The good news for you guys is you've only got a 5-day turnaround to turn things around. Good luck in Adelaide.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Yeah, good on Dylan MACALLISTER for taking the time to speak to us. Must be pretty difficult when you've just given away a penalty and lost a game right at the death. An extraordinary afternoon at the SFS. Gold Coast United taking the lead through Kristian REES, his second goal in the space of a week. And just on the restart of the second half, away race Dylan MACALLISTER rounded Liam REDDY and double the advantage for the Gold Coast. And really, you couldn't foresee a comeback from Sydney FC at that stage. But they started the climb thanks to Bruno CAZARINE. Good substitution made by Vitezslav Lavicka. And then Nick CARLE with some inspirational play. Beautiful play initially to set up Mark Bridge. They got a bit of a lucky ricochet, but a neat finish from CARLE. He's now scored in 3 successive games. And then that controversial penalty awards right at the end. We now know it's for the trip by Ambers Joseph on Michael BEAUCHAMP. That's why Peter Green awarded it. Thought initially it might have been for the handball. And Karol KISEL right at the death to win the points for Sydney FC. The second time in a week they've scored in injury time to get the right result so far as they are concerned. So Sydney FC up to 4th on the ladder. The Cove can celebrate. The Gold Coast, well, they're away to commiserate. So there we go. We've got a post-game show to come with Adam Peacock and Mark Rudin and Mark Bosnich. Their thoughts, analysis, opinions and interviews all to come in a few minutes' time. Stay with us.